This KFAN podcast is sponsored by Builders and Remodelers, exclusive Twin Cities provider of Elements Windows. Get the highest quality windows at unmatchable value. Visit buildersandremodelers.com for more details. Just in case you missed it, it's the top 5 sports talkers of the day. Now, it's time for Dan Barrero's Top 5 at 5. Brought to you by Gutter Helmet of Minnesota. Never clean your gutters again. Learn more at gutterhelmetmn.com.
I'll give you 2 more. One of them offered up by an alert listener, Bernard Berrien. That was well before your time, I think.
Oh, yes, it was.
And it was a disaster.
Yeah.
Because he basically, half the time he was multitasking, like getting out of his car, eating, talking to somebody else while he was on with us.
Yeah, I remember that.
If he listened at all. And the other one, remember, and this was, we assumed this was going to be a can't misser, Fred Smoot. And I think that also died quickly. Maybe we're on the Love Boat. I don't even know. But the Smoot one, I think we had originally Smoot was scheduled to be
I remember that.
Weekly regular as well.
It was before my time on the show, but I remember it. I was working here.
Yeah.
Yeah. The Love Boat anniversary is coming up, too, by the way. It's in like 4 or 5 days, I think.
How many years? Oh, so this is the
20.
big one, 20 years.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
What year was it?
2005.
2005, yeah. So the big years, we probably have to do something with it then. We haven't in a while.
Should we try Fred Smoot?
Can we afford to? I don't know what he might
that's
say.
The thing.
That's
I know.
the thing.
We'd have to be by the
I don't. That's the problem. Is like, what do you want to? What are you going to ask him?
Yeah.
Any of them? I mean, it's going to be R-rated.
I think I want Meweldy more than most because I think he'd be the most surprised to find out what happened on the boat, given that he was completely perplexed
why
anybody was asking.
Is that it likely would have never come to light if 2 or 3 of the players or members of the folks who are on the Love Boat didn't pee in the bushes.
Exactly. Had they just gotten out of there.
Find a restroom.
Yep.
Go to Maynard's.
Yep.
And go, and
there's probably sunsets in Wayzata back then, too.
That's true. You're right.
Yeah.
That's true.
Because I think Alan Elmos was that way.
Oh, is it that way?
I think so.
Oh, you might be right.
Yeah.
Well, whatever. That's what opened the door, right?
Yes.
As I recall it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It did, because the neighbors were wondering what the hell was going on. Maybe Tice will come on to talk about it. I mean, he already did the cheap shot.
He might actually. Yeah, he might be the one
how he
who
found
would.
out about it.
Yeah.
He's the guy I'd actually be interested in. How it came to light, what that phone call was like, what the next few days were like.
Yes.
That's what I'd be interested in.
Yeah, me too. You and me both.
But the Vikings have a ball game to worry about against the Cleveland Browns on Sunday. This one is in London. Christian Darrisaw saw another day of rest and load management today at practice. Michael Juergens did not participate. He's supposed to be the backup center, so he's really not going to be that with his hamstring injury. Blake Brandel looks like he's going to be the starting center. Here's a quote that Kevin Seifert tweeted out about 6 hours ago. First of all, Seifert writes, Brandel confirmed that while he has had a lot of practice reps at center, he has never played center in a game. Here's the quote. Never in a game, no. But I've had a lot of practice reps. Thankfully, whether that's scout team or whatever, it's just one of those things where I knew at some point could be a possibility, and we're here. So I'm excited.
You're along the offensive line. What's the big deal? Well, it probably is a pretty big deal.
You got to identify things.
Allegedly, although maybe if you have a veteran quarterback, it's a little less of a big deal. But it's not good. It's obviously not good. And we're assuming, or I'm close to assuming, well, who would replace our regular right tackle?
I don't even know who it would be. I'd have to pull up the all-22.
Cleveland's defense is better than Pittsburgh's.
It is.
Salisbury reminded us.
Yes, it is. I know.
And you know what's going to happen. They're going to get a bump from this kid quarterback.
Yeah.
He can at least move.
You know what I think is going to happen?
You think we're going to lose again?
No. I think Wentz is going to get knocked out of the game.
And your guy's going to be in and take over.
Brosmer Brownstones is going to show up.
Dominate.
The team has already posted like multiple social media videos of him walking around London with his family.
You think they know something?
Some people are asking, is this a soft launch? Is this a soft launch for the Brosmer era? He did a great job, by the way, talking about the London Eye. I'm just going to tell you.
No question.
It was unbelievable. No one's ever talked about the London Eye like
never
Brosberg.
been done like that. Well, somebody asked me the other day, what are the odds that he would start the second half of the game? I said 0 unless Wentz gets hurt. I think that's the only way he plays. Don't you? I don't think there's any chance. Because here's part of the deal. I think there would be, especially if the line is a disaster, you don't want to kill the kid. So my belief is the only reason Wentz would be pulled from the lineup would be not because of performance. It would be he's just battered. And he got pretty battered enough last week where I wondered even then whether there might be something to it. It'd be a hell of a story. No question about that.
The only addition...
And then do we trade JJ? You wait till he gets healthy.
Yeah. I think you got to showcase him at some point.
Yeah, that's probably true.
There was an addition to the Vikings injury report today.
What if the Vikings had no fewer than 4 options at quarterback coming into this season, right? 4 viable options. Darnold.
Yep. Jones. Rodgers.
And JJ.
Yeah.
What if they picked, for this season at least, the worst of the 4? It's possible.
It's very possible.
Which has still always been the goofy part about trying to win while he learns on the job, because he does have to learn on the job. There's no way to jumpstart that. Anyway, you were saying?
The only other addition to the injury report today is Dallas Turner, who was ill. He was sick today.
What's that all about?
Don't know. He did not participate.
Had some bad fish and chips or something?
And I don't even know who I can say, because, I guess I could say Justin School was limited in practice today, but had nothing to do with
that's
injury.
not very nice.
I know it's not, because it's not his fault. But who do I say?
Well, Salisbury made that point too. That and the Vikings are not alone with this. There's just depth is a problem for a lot of teams.
Yeah,
especially if you're decimated along the offensive line, you're in trouble.
I also heard Gessling earlier in the week with Nordo. Gessling's back in the States, by the way. So wherever he joins you from tomorrow, he only did the Dublin game.
Oh,
He's back,
I didn't realize
so
that.
He'll be with you tomorrow.
All right.
But he talked about the pro game is starting to blame the college game for some of their offensive line problems.
Really?
Because so few colleges run pro-style offenses.
That's true.
The linemen that they're getting, they do have to be developed at a different speed and in a different game, and they're not asked to do a bunch of things.
That's
so even
plausible.
Though it might be 6'5", 325, and they can run a 4.2 40, they don't know what the hell they're doing because they're doing all these up-tempo.
Well, that's true of a lot of quarterbacks.
Very much.
Shotgun, working from the gun. Everybody says how much harder it is to be under center, how much more value, how much more versatile your offense can be when you do it, but that a lot of quarterbacks, it's just easy. You're sitting back there, whatever it is, 7 yards, 5 yards, and you're just surveying everything. You never have to turn your back to the defense, any of it.
So if you get a couple injuries, you've been scraping it together to find 5 legitimate pro offensive linemen, and it's harder to find even guys that are on other teams that can come in and just roll it, like they did with Cam Robinson last year.
Have we ever had in the modern era, like since the merger, has there ever been a game that ended 0-0 after the overtime?
I'm sure there had to have been. The Vikings and Raiders were close a few years ago, if you remember.
Were they?
It was like 3-3 forever. Oh. It was like 3-0.
I'm just telling you, this could be...
Yeah, I know.
This could be that kind of grimy game.
The touchdown and field goal sponsors might not get paid off this week.
That's true.
Detroit got it done. The Tigers, 6-3. They double up Cleveland. They win that series 2-1. Your Cubs have taken a 2-0 lead in Wrigley. Looks like a great day at Wrigley, by the way.
It does look like a nice day.
Coondog's got to be living his best life today.
Yeah.
Place is packed. That's a foul ball.
Foul ball. They're up 2-0 on Diego. But they had bases loaded, nobody out, and only scored twice, which could come back to haunt them.
Got to get those through.
Well-turned 3-6-3 double play to get the Padres out of trouble. But they are up 2-0 in the fourth.
Yankee Stadium tonight, game 3 of that series. The Red Sox and Yankees. 2 teams that don't much like each other.
That's for sure.
The latest chapter in the rivalry.
How about you remember Aroldis Chapman?
I do.
When did the Cubs win the series? 16?
2016, yep.
So 9 years ago, he's their closer, right? As they win the thing.
Yes.
He's in the 9th inning of game 1 now with Cleveland, or I should say with Boston. First 3 runners get on base in a 1-run game. Bases loaded, or it may have been a 2-run game. Bases loaded, nobody out. He gets out of it.
It's the Chapman experience.
How old is Chapman? 50? And he still throws the ball 110 miles per hour.
I know.
And he was, like you said, he was World Series guy 9 years ago with the Cubs. And that wasn't even his first stop.
It's already been 9 years. That's crazy.
It is nuts.
That's crazy.
All right, you want to put $1,000 in somebody's hand?
I'd love to help somebody with some bonus bucks. It is our national cash contest, and the final keyword of the evening tonight is credit. Go to KFAN.com and enter the keyword credit.
I've got some questions regarding the ongoing discussion, the Napheesa Collier savagery on the WNBA commissioner, who's been a very, very obviously easy target. She's made herself that over the years, but I do have some questions about a number of things offered up that I think, for me at least, are being too universally praised without at least some pushback or perhaps a little bit of, shall we call it, nuance. That's next. Fallness has checked in. That time of year again, the state of hockey is abuzz about the upcoming season, and here we go. JG, ignoring our favorite sport, wants to gain in the top 5.
A buzz.
Must be a day that ends in Y.
A buzz. Is that what we are? A buzz?
A buzz. And is that the real K Fallness, or is that somebody doing the bit?
Hang on, let me pull up the text line.
Do you know that phone number? You recognize it?
I got to hit refresh. I'm not on the old text line as much. No, that's the original Fallness.
That is him.
Yeah.
Huh? Okay, fair enough.
Funny that he missed. We talked plenty of hockey about 30 minutes ago.
Hope he got got a new set of staples or stapler.
I'm still trying to figure out what he was stapling.
Probably media notes or something. Who knows? Good question. I have no idea.
Good question.
Good. Do you know the first nickname assigned to me in my earliest years at KFAN, what that nickname was?
I don't think I do.
Squeaky.
Oh, yes, I did know that.
Squeaky was the first one.
I didn't know that was the first one.
In fact, the person I think responsible for calling me that just texted, I'm going to let him remain anonymous. But yeah, that is true. That was my very first. Once upon a time, I was accused of having a squeaky voice. I don't think it's as squeaky as it used to be, but I think it's still got a little bit of squeakiness. I can get up there occasionally. I don't think I can get up there as high.
Russo makes a good point.
What's that?
If we could fix the audio in his studio, we would do more hockey talk.
Yeah, that's
from Russo.
Yeah.
I think Russo's right.
Don't disagree with that. Somebody's bitter that we don't have. They said, guess what? You got a regular Vikings guest? You got a regular Wolves guest. By the way, I think Mike Conley's coming in the studio, you remind me, next Monday.
On Monday, yeah.
To start it all over again. We don't have a regular Wild guest, which is true. We have a lot of regulars, Wild related.
We do.
And we have had Wild regulars, including, who was the goalie that we had for years?
Dubnyk.
Wasn't that for more than 1 year?
It was for a while, yeah.
We had Dubnyk.
Yeah, Dubnyk was great.
I guess we could talk about it. It was going to be Parisi.
That's still my
until
favorite.
I screwed up the Parisi Pontiac deal.
That was the shortest regular guest stint we ever had.
That was shorter than Bernard Berrien, I think. Yeah.
It was.
I think that is the shortest. That's true.
Yeah, one appearance.
One appearance. That was it. I don't think he ever appeared again.
No, I don't remember him.
And I'm pretty sure Suter never appeared on the show, and he definitely didn't appear later when we were taking shots at him. And
no, he didn't appear as a player.
I think we heard from his dad, though, didn't we?
Probably.
I think we did.
We didn't hear from him as a player or when he was the assistant GM, as you called him.
Yeah,
we didn't hear from him then either. That
might have been the time where it kind of went south. It's very, very possible.
Yeah. I think we have, for not having a regular Wild guest, I don't know how you do any better than Russo and Lunani.
You don't.
Twice a week.
You don't. That's my view on it. That's the comeback to it. So,
in my humble opinion.
Well, I don't disagree with that.
And technically, Fallness is a regular because he texts in every day, so we talk about whatever he wants us to talk about for at least 2 minutes.
Mission accomplished.
Yeah.
What you're saying.
He gets us going.
All right. It's still the talk of the WNBA and the WNBA. The NBAA finals start, is it tomorrow night? I think it's Friday night.
Yes.
I don't even know where it starts. Vegas. Vegas was the 2 seed, so it has to be Vegas.
Yeah, it should be Vegas.
Yeah. The Napheesa Collier evisceration, disembowelment of the WNBA commissioners. No question she was as vivid and as surgical as one can imagine. Probably unprecedented. I don't remember in any sport, quite frankly, any professional sport, a star going as far as Napheesa Collier went. But I do have some questions about it that continue to kind of stick in my craw and bug me a little bit, because I think the acclaim has been a little bit too total. I think there's some questions that we should be asking here when it comes to the question of leadership and message sending the last couple of years, etc. This program has not been a particularly huge fan of Kathy Engelbert for a number of reasons. Although I will say, even folks who are critical of her say that in terms of from the business side of it, the fact is she's done exactly what she was told to do, which is get really fat, rich contracts, TV contracts. And so that may be the issue, is she's made more for the business side of it than necessarily the understanding the basketball side of it, and perhaps even the relationships between players and owner, management, or you could say the commissioner's office, etc. All right. Napheesa, I'm just going to quote, this is from the transcript, and then ask you a few questions here as we go that struck me as, to this point, having been unanswered. First of all, I'd like to congratulate, she said, the Mercury for advancing to the finals. I want to be clear, this conversation is not about winning or losing. It's about something much bigger. I ain't buying it. I asked Johnny this question yesterday. He ain't buying it either. That doesn't make her unique. And by the way, there can be other things worthy of discussion. But for Cheryl Reeve and for her best player, I'm not buying that you're any different than any other player or coach. That what's, I think, more than anything stuck in your craw right now is you blew a series. You blew your best chance to get your 5th title, at least currently. And you did it in ways we've already kind of laid down. I don't need to go down that road. I think it's too easy to say, no, I'm above all of that. You're not above all of that. Your coach sure as hell wasn't above all of that with the way things went down in game number 3. She then goes on to talk about the officials. Whether the league cares about the health of the players is one thing, but to also not care about the product we put on the floor is truly self-sabotage. Year after year, the only thing that remains consistent is the lack of accountability from our leaders. And she goes on in depth on that particular issue. The question seems to be, again, you're losing control of the games. That would seem to indicate some difficulty with the physicality of the game being out of control. And I'll just ask this question. It's kind of a rhetorical one, I think. Last year, when Caitlin Clark was occasionally getting maimed, where was this frustration? What other players, instead of just making it about the refs, were interested in going down this particular road? You know what we got instead? I mean, we can find all the quotes, especially as it pertains to Clark. She's got to deal with it. It's the big leagues, man.
Rite of passage.
Rite of passage. These things, there's several steps involved here. You got to grow up. You got to learn exactly that this isn't a big boy league. This is a big girl league. And so what I'm saying is, I don't think she's wrong, but when she focuses so little on other players, I don't trust it as being particularly consistent, because that's what we heard over and over again. Different league, different level, and stop. We're not going to coddle. Just because Caitlin Clark is everybody's darling, we're not going to coddle her. Very different message than what we're hearing from Napheesa Collier now. She goes on, and this to me was especially rich. And it's gotten all the attention in the world, not surprisingly. At Unrivaled this past February, she said, I sat across from Kathy and asked how she planned to address the officiating issues in our league. Her response was, well, only the losers complain about the refs. I also asked how she planned to fix the fact that players like Caitlin, Angel, and Paige, who are clearly driving massive revenue for the league, are making so little for their first 4 years. And her response was, Caitlin should be grateful she makes $60 million off the court because without the platform the WNBA gives her, she wouldn't make anything. Now, two things there. One, I get it. It's a sexy quote. It hits hard, and it may be exactly what the commissioner said. But I'm going to ask you something. If a commissioner or a reporter offered up exact quotes, allegedly exact quotes, from a private conversation that in this case has to do with negotiations, which are always going to be bare-knuckled, where people are going to say a lot of things. I dare say there's probably a couple of things the player side said that if we knew about them, we'd go, whoa, are you serious? How do we feel? We're okay with it because we don't like the commissioner? That private conversations get revealed? Beyond that, same question. Now we're worried about the fairness of what Caitlin Clark and some of the other young players makes. What did we hear a year ago? It's not about Caitlin Clark. It doesn't matter that she's this popular. She shouldn't be making the money. The people who built this league, the veteran players, should be making more money. So all I'm asking from Napheesa is a little honesty about looking within. Because we talked about this all last season. We said there's a lack of leadership at the top, but my opinion at least was what the leadership at the top needs to have with players is a come-to-Jesus meeting and say, stop being jealous of this movement and this situation because it's identified as Caitlin Clark mania. Stop basically sabotaging yourselves. You can think whatever you think about what she's overrated or she hasn't really done much yet, and all that's true. But if you want to cross over the way you say you want to cross over, then where are you? Why is this such a difficult deal? Now, what are we hearing? We're hearing from her, and I'm not saying Collier, I'm not sure Napheesa ever was one of the people who was that critical of Caitlin.
I don't think she was. I think
she's actually, in fact, does she have the same representation? I can't remember.
She might, yeah.
But I don't remember her actually going too far down that road.
No, that's not how she rolls. But the fact is, a
lot of players, as you know this, and coaches, I won't name them all, won't name all the coaches, that was their mantra last year. They bristled. A lot of ex-players bristled at the whole Clark thing. So now, when it's convenient, we get to use Caitlin Clark about what she wasn't getting. I'd accept it more fully if the player, in this case, Napheesa, or other players who are jumping on her bandwagon, had been more consistent with it, because I don't think they were all that consistent with it at all. I mentioned the off-the-record part. The other thing that I'm stunned that people haven't pushed back on it a little bit more. See if I can find the other page. I thought I had the whole thing here, but I can't find it now. It's
not Paige Becker's.
No, not Paige Becker's.
The other page.
That was at Unrivaled. It is Unrivaled related, but I cannot. I've lost my other page. And it's when she's talking about the diametric opposites when it comes to leadership that she's familiar with. And she describes, she's obviously very critical of the WNBA leadership. I think there's probably reason to be in a number of cases. But she uses as the opposite the Unrivaled League that she's an investor in and has done very well to build it up very, very quickly.
Her husband runs.
Exactly. Now, she might be right, but I'm just going to tell you, if anybody else brings up their significant other, no one is accepting it as easy. They're going to say, well, that's kind of convenient. I mean, you might be a little bit biased there, too. There might be a little bit of an objectivity issue. And even on the question of, apparently, she said that when anybody got in the Unrivaled League gets hurt, he's the first one to make a phone call. And I still haven't received a phone call from the commissioner's office, from the commissioner at least, since the bad injury that she suffered. Seriously? Unrivaled League, I don't know how many players are in it.
I don't even know.
How many teams are in it?
It's a little different than the WNBA.
100%. Even the WNBA is not as big as the NBA, but
right.
Come on, man. And you can't leave out the other little nugget. Maybe part of the reason you didn't get the call that you say you earned or deserved is the uncomfortable nature of the relationship right now between the commissioner's office and the Minnesota Lynx, because the behavior of your own head coach ended up resulting in an historic suspension that's never been done before. That's the context of it. So for me, again, I'm not here to shoot the messenger. I'm not here to say that she doesn't have some legitimate points. I'm just here to say there's some inconsistencies to this, and I don't like the way the shift has taken place from a year ago to when a lot of these same subjects came up. And in terms of if Napheesa is really trying to make several points to me about holding individuals accountable in positions of authority, etc., it's too easy to leave out the players. In my opinion, it's too easy to say, well, we're going to make it all about the commissioner's office, when almost every point she brought up was viewed in a 180-degree different context a year ago. Is that not fair?
Well, certainly on the physicality, because Clark was basically beaten up every game last year. And there was a lot of rite of passage talk for sure. And on the salaries, too, like those were all collectively bargained, right? That's going to be part of this next thing. I think we all understood that there's probably going to be a jump, right? Rookie salaries are not very much. We all knew that going in. We knew that they were low enough that people actually thought, well, she might stay in college because she'll make more money, which, by the way, was ludicrous, because all of that money was coming, whether she was in Iowa City or she was moving on to the WNBA.
Right.
But, yeah, the Clark thing is the most interesting part. And I don't remember Napheesa really having much of an opinion on that in general. Like, she's typically not wading into those waters.
I agree.
Which I think, by the way, to her credit.
It is to her credit. But if the game is we're going to confront, I'm saying I'm not blaming her, because I don't think she has been inconsistent. But those are issues that have been talked about where people aren't afraid to talk about them for over a year, right? And that's part of what bugs me. If you leave all that out, I'm not buying exactly what you're selling, because that's a component of this thing. And on the money part, to your point, there's a rookie wage scale in the NBA too. Now, it's obviously on a much higher level, but this is part of the, to be honest with you, among the things I thought where Clark was being unfairly treated, salary wasn't at the top of my list, even though it didn't make any sense given the way she was driving ratings. But there was a part of me saying, well, what are you going to do? You can't have a rookie wage scale except for when Caitlin Clark comes in.
Exactly right.
The asterisk. You can't. You may have to. I mean, that's what why she represents something that was so different. But what do? The money has to be there to come from someplace. And in fact, again, from a TV contract standpoint, this league is blossoming, but it's done pretty damn well. Now, is there still more room that should be coming the players' way? Probably. I wouldn't doubt that that'd be the case. But I don't know. I just think that there are financial realities here that still have to do with a league that's headed in the right direction, but still does not, even though valuations have gone up, is still not making a ton of money in the conventional sense, as far as we know, correct?
Right.
Did anything else hit you from?
No.
Now, also real quick, I'm sorry, Reeve. Did you hear Reeve during that same session? Because it was eye-opening. Reeve, to me, she didn't go far enough. Basically, she didn't do enough of a mea culpa about her behavior. But beyond that, did you hear what she said about the physicality? She basically acknowledged that we were aware that we're really not made for those kinds of, to beat those kinds of teams. That's part of the reason we made the trade for, who was the injured player?
Carrington.
Carrington, exactly. Yep. That's the reason. So I'm thinking, for all the people who are just bombarding me, referees screwed them, they didn't have a chance, they got mugged. Cheryl Reeve, maybe a moment, maybe I misread the quote, but I thought in a rare moment of candor on this issue, basically said, we're not really made that way. And my argument then is, well, while you're fighting the battle for changing the officiating approach, you still have to live in it. So isn't part of your job to go about putting together a roster that is going to be better equipped to do it? Now, I'm sure in their mind they thought they were fine because they had the best record in basketball by 6 games.
Right.
But nevertheless,
a dominant regular season.
I thought it was an interesting admission, but go ahead.
The Reeve comment that got my attention, you mentioned it, she didn't really go very far in a mea culpa, was when she kept reiterating her situation was an unprecedented situation, which basically, to me, was martyrdom. Like, well, they've never done that before. You know what I mean? Like, well, I don't think anyone's dropped multiple F-bombs and called it malpractice, and they had to do something. Like, you were forcing their hand to do something. You bet that they weren't going to suspend you because it is unprecedented. Why is it unprecedented? Because I don't remember it ever happening like that before. Do you? I guess I could go back and watch other press conferences.
You've answered your own question, yes.
So, but I didn't like that because that's like, well, they did something they'd never done before, and I couldn't coach Game 4.
What can I do?
I couldn't coach Game 4, and then at the Fan Fest they had at the Target Field train station, basically said, well, I guess I could also put out we have a suggestion box. What about a collection box for my fines? It's like, okay,
yeah,
you weren't able to coach in Game 4, and I get it. You're trying to make your point and everything, but you weren't there for a pivotal Game 4. Maybe it wouldn't have made a difference.
Might not have, but that's not the point.
So that bugged me because that's not, because I said it on the day. If to me it all goes, and I get it. And my overarching thing, if Kathy Engelbert said what she said about Caitlin Clark and Napheesa Collier said, then that is like game, set, match. Like, she has no clue. She's not equipped to run the league. If that's your stance on Clark, that she should feel lucky to have our platform.
Yes, which we if you recall, we talked about last year that Clark never came up, was not even named by the commissioner.
She was naming in
that press conference, right? So she probably doesn't get it. What's different, though, was then it was, well, her leadership is a problem, but part of the talk she needs to have is with her own players. But
right.
Go ahead.
So, but if that's her stance, then
yes,
she's done.
Right.
She's toast. She clearly shouldn't be running the league. But I said it the day after the game. If they're worried more about what happened in Game 4 or Game 3, as opposed to what they contributed in Game 2, which was just a ridiculous way to lose a game. And they've been flirting with that, all year. The playing with their food stuff that we use on the Timberwolves. If they're more worried about that than their own culpability on Game 2, then they're in trouble. Then they're just not going to get it. And I don't think they have it. I think they focused completely on what happened in Game 3, and there's not been enough accountability for Game 2 that's when they lost control of everything for no reason but their own carelessness with the basketball. And here we are.
And I'll still say I do not think it was a foul. I know it ends up being a bad injury, but regarding Reeve. Yeah, it's unprecedented. But it's as you say.
What choice did they have?
Even if you can't stand leadership, okay, you left leadership, even if it's a poorly run organization, with no choice, or at the very least, you made it easy for them to go as far as they did, because I don't think there has been any behavior by a coach at the professional level that matches the way Cheryl Reeve conducted herself during that game, on her way to the locker room, and in the media scrum afterwards. It's all. If the fine and suspension was unprecedented, it's because the behavior was absolutely unprecedented as well.
Show Wrap presented by American Pressure, commercial grade pressure washer since 1975.
It's the bumper to bumper Show Wrap.
Thursday Night Football tonight, Niners at Rams. Tomorrow we'll have picks, Ben Gessling and Lavelle as well. There's a decent number of texters who've kind of, I think, missed the point that happens from time to time. People saying that a majority of that Napheesa speaks for the majority of the WNBA players. I don't doubt that a minute. I've never, in anything I've said, suggested otherwise. What I have suggested is that the arguments that are being made now, in this case, to hammer the commissioner's office, had never previously been used to hammer fellow players, the way I certainly did feel being consistent should have been a year ago. There wasn't anybody championing Caitlin Clark's cause when it came to money or physicality. And I just find that amusing that now we're looking at a completely different way. That's not my saying that the majority of players don't agree. I will add, and you I think will disagree with me on this probably, I think it has become too easy to literally blame everything on the boogeyman. And in this case, the boogeyman is the commissioner. All the foul calls, all the circumstances, all the difficulties. I don't buy it. I think the more you do that, the more you leave anything else out, any possibility of gray areas, and I just don't, that's just not where I reside. It's the easiest thing to do because she is the boogeyman. She's been her own worst enemy. She deserves a lot of the criticism. But for me, then it makes it too easy to that's the crutch. We lost. We blew a 20-point lead. Not our fault. Commissioner's fault. They blew it on the traveling call we didn't get a year ago. That's what somebody else texted too. That people are still frustrated by that.
I'm sure they are.
That had nothing to do with blowing the 20-point lead. Had nothing to do with, as much as Napheesa Collier is a great player, she scored 5 points in the second half of Game 2. She scored 4 points in the second half of Game 3, including 0 in the fourth quarter. Now, that doesn't mean I want to cut her, but I'm saying those things are basketball related. The other team played better. Maybe the other team figured out how to play her. If you want to go excuse, you can. She got brutalized. It wasn't her fault. She was getting mugged on every play. So you can go that route. But if you leave all the basketball stuff out that has nothing to do with whether the league is too cheap or whether players are getting enough money or whatever the case may be, and you just center it on the basketball, then you can't deny that the entity responsible for the Lynx underachieving in the playoffs this year is the Minnesota Lynx and their head coach. It happens. Doesn't mean they're done forever, but the more you want to go down those other roads, the more I get you. The more I understand is if you divert, you don't have to live with the likelihood that, man, we had it. I mean, we were in great shape at home and we blew it, but I don't want to talk about that because that's internal. That means I have to accept the possibility that at the moment of truth, this team did not keep its composure and did not handle itself all that well. Again, on what she's saying, there's a lot of truth, I think, to what she's saying. I'm just saying, for me, it's a little incomplete. And it completely subverts all the stuff we heard last year. Not by her, make that clear, by other people, but other leadership people, other good players in this league about Caitlin's got to figure it out. We're not here to coddle Caitlin. Yeah, they're going to play her hard. They're going to guard her hard. Maybe they are going to follow her a little bit, but that's what the best players in this league learned. It seemed that the context was different. Now it's about the officiating. It wasn't so much about the officiating then. Also want to thank our outstanding array of guests today, which includes Sean Salisbury and a very good mix of inbox writers today as well.
Another great mix.
Yeah, it was a very good mix.
People love Pat Kessler. They love the Pat Kessler letters.
Are you going to text him just to see if he's okay? I'm going to text him just to see if he's okay.
Maybe you do that. Yeah, you do a welfare check on him.
I just want to be sure. And maybe it's costing too much money to use his text line over there. I don't know.
Freaky McFreak said.
Freaky said enough.
I'm the only one working right now. Can you ease up a little bit?
That's also possible for sure. I think I'll watch a little Niners Rams. How about you? Maybe.
Yeah, we might. We'll see. In and out is the word.
Might be the approach that we take.
Thursday Night Football is typically not electric.
No, that's sad. I thought Monday night was awful. The doubleheader games are terrible. Yeah. Tomorrow, picks, as I said, Gessling and Lavelle. Hope you join us at 3.
Go get them, son. Show us what you can do.
A lot of things that are easily correctable.